Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppers. Today checking out some more festive / seasonal beer for this winter. But these are actually from last year. These are vintage beers. And these are from my trip last year to Franconia with the Bad Seed crew that I'm a bit ashamed that I didn't review. But all of a sudden they were parked in the fridge. They've been in the fridge for a year. And I just they just stayed there. It's just like one of those beers they're sitting there, it's like, a dark bock. Weizen-Bock, it's not really the season, for some reason I was just never in the mood, and I was like, I need to try these now and see how they are because they're a year old. They're technically expired because a lot of these breweries only give them like 6 months, but there's also a lot of people who play around with aging some of these beers brewed for the festive season and whatnot. For example, Zedna has a big thing with aging their Weihnachtsbock, and people like to age it themselves and see how it develops. I often think age can be good if it's short, but like extended, really long aging for a lot of beer styles doesn't work unless it's like wild stuff I've found. But it also really depends on the conditions. But we're trying 2 seasonal beers from them. One has won a silver medal at the European Beer Star Awards, which is one of the awards that is actually worth something. But we're trying their Merkendrof Weizen-Bock Bock Dunkel. So I picked these up in the Getränkemarkt called Aquatron last year. But this is a Weizenbock and this is a dark Bock, Bock Dunkel, Dunkler Bock. And this is 7.1%, this is 7.5. So technically this could almost be a double Bock because I think the cutoff is like 7.5, but they call it just a Dunkler Bock. So let's try the Weizenbock first, just because it's a wheat beer, a Hefeweizen. I'm thinking this could be like a bit more rich in the malt and everything. And it's also lower ABV. So usually I would never recommend aging a Weiss beer for any amount of time. You should drink that really fresh. But some are different. Some Weizenbocks you can age. And a beer that actually works with age, for example, in this category, although it's a little bit different than some of the at least paler ones, is Aventinos by Schneider. That can actually age well. But let's check this one out. So pours a very nice rust orange color with a golden hue in the bottom of the glass. High CO2 levels. This bottle actually gushed when I popped it, but it was also because I had been doing this, because it was like the yeast that dropped, it was crystal clear when I took it out of the fridge, because it's just been sitting in the fridge for so long that everything dropped. And with the Weizen, you want this look. So I just twisted around a bit and then swirled some of it, but there's still a lot of yeast in here. You know, my biggest concern is like dead yeast flavor and something like this because it's been in the fridge for so long. Yeast autolysis, soy saucy notes, but let's see. Whitehead, let's check out the aroma. I can smell it already. It smells really good. This did not fall off in the fridge. Very rich on stewed banana notes, stewed pear, clove, allspice. This is like really classic Weizen nuances just dialed up, really. Stewed pear, loads of stewed pear. And it's like, it smells like it's got some sweetness, but it doesn't smell like insanely sweet. It smells like it could be drier, but let's see. Doughy breadiness, fluffy wheaty notes. Maybe even a hint of a candied note. It smells really good. Let's try it. Cheers. Franconian lager and ale. It's been a while since we actually did some Franconia and stuff on the channel, because these guys are from Merkendrof, and very close by is another great brewery, Wagner. They're also in Merkendrof. Let's try it. Cheers. Wow. I am surprised how well this held up. This tastes great. This just goes to show that strong beer is what you age. Not necessarily age for a long time, but it will just do better. You can feel that it's not as bright on the yeast character. And I think that's due to being in age for a long time. But it's been in a fridge for a year. Like, it will deteriorate really slowly. Like, this one has basically just gotten extended lagering in the bottle. Whereas this is a Hefeweizen, you wouldn't lager that for very long, I guess, but. Weizenbock. It's got some sweetness, but it's a very good balance between sweetness and richness. Really doughy, fluffy mouthfeel, a very good mouthfeel, but high carbonation as well. Really high carbonation. So it's like, feels fluffy and really airy on the same time. Very peppery. actually, on the flavor. It's also clovey, but it's more peppery, not much allspice. It's like really peppery and clovey. Rich banana flavor, and the stewed pear is there, but the banana is more rich on the flavor profile. It's definitely heavy on esters, which I like in Weizens, and then balanced by spice. And it's so doughy too, and wheaty. Really good, this one. Really good. This is probably the best beer I've had from Hummel. So far, at least. I'm amazed how good this tastes for being. I was sure this would. I've slaughtered this beer because I aged it too long. A nice bit of like sweet candied fruitiness on the back there. Okay, good start. Let's move on to the Dunkler Bock. 7.5%, and this beer is fucking beautiful. Look at that. It looks like a rot beer. It's like this, like mahogany red color. It's really nice looking, and it's really clear too. There's a little bit of floaties in there, which is probably due to age. But what's interesting with this, when I popped the cap, it was just like, and this was just like, and it gushed a bit. But this one sounded like it didn't have too much CO2, and you can kind of see that on the head too. But otherwise, you know, I think it's really beautiful looking. Same kind of, I mean, it's not the same. This is more white, but this has got like a slight tan edge to it. Check out the aroma on the Dunkler Bock. Oh yeah, you can smell that this one has definitely been in the cellar for a bit though. This has got a little bit of a toasty, nutty, slightly porty note. But it's very light, very rye bready. Dark bread, rich dark bread. Stewed fruit too, like stewed but dark fruit. But yeah, there's a little bit of a sense of age to this one, but it's light. It's not like heavily oxidized or anything. And there is actually, funny enough, that's really interesting. That rich Munich malty melanoiding character you get in these kind of beers from Franconia, it's still around. It's something that, like, I almost talk about juicy malt sometimes. You really get that in Franconian lagers. And usually I find that fades with age, but I think it's actually kind of here still. Impressive. But they also shouldn't have changed like too much because they've been in the fridge and they're strong beers. But yeah, let's try this one as well. Cheers. It's so bready, really rye bready. This is really good. These are the best Hummel beers I've had. I was so afraid I would dislike them. And it's not too oxidative or anything. It's actually also got some bitterness to it. Hop character, grassy, spicy notes. It's definitely spicy. That's interesting. It's so rye bready. Like, tastes a lot like a mix of like rye bread and like rustic nut loaves or something like that. Like a rustic sourdough with nuts. Hazelnut loaves. But it's really gently carved. It almost feels like when you have beer on cask, but it's just really German tasting, really nutty, like hardly toasted nutty notes. Some caramel notes, some toffee, not much stewed fruitiness. It's all about like breads and nuts in this one. The aroma indicated more like porty notes and whatever. Wow, I'm so surprised that these beers are drinking this great for being fucking stored in a fridge for a year. I'm almost like regretting drinking them now, because if I popped these when I got them, I would probably have been like floored. I would have been like, fuck, this is amazing. I need to drink more Hummel. Like, because they're still really good, but they're like, yeah, they're not as bright and like singy as they maybe could have been if they were fresher, but I'm impressed. Chewy and rich mouthfeel too. The mouthfeel on this is great. It's so well balanced. It's not too sweet. There's enough hops to make the sweetness fade really quickly, so you want to drink some more of it. It's just a really well balanced Bock. And these are the kind of Bocks I prefer usually. Dunkler Bocks, if it's the pale kind, it needs to be quite hoppy for me to really enjoy it, because I think sometimes they can be quite syrupy. But it depends on the producer and everything. These are really good. I'm really surprised about this. So rye bready, this one. Freaking awesome beers. Not world class, but really good. Especially like the Weizenbock. It's phenomenal considering the age. I also like that, but I think I like the Weizenbock a little bit more. I think we're gonna go 93 on the Weizen, and then 92 on the Bock. They're really good. I'm so surprised how great they are considering they've just been sitting in a fridge for a year. Like, over a year. They were stored in my cellar at my old apartment, which was cool. Then we moved. They were standing down here in a cool cellar over the winter until we got the fridge. Then we got the fridge, and then in the fridge. And they're drinking like this. That's fucking insane. But both cellars, it's under an apartment complex where it was cool. The cellar here is cool. So it's never been like really hot for the beers, and that's probably why. So yeah, for the Bock site here, drink some Bocks and drink some Hummel Weizen-Bock or their Bock Dunkel, if you can get them, because I'm not sure if they're available at the moment. And get some Hummel Boy and drink some Franconian lager. It's the best, or in this case also a Weizen. So if you guys had these, let me know. As always, comment, subscribe to the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers in the Weizen, my favorite. And see you guys in another beer review.